What's up, guys? Mega here with another episode of Star Technology. So between the episodes, I actually did a little stream, a little base building stream, and then after the base building stuff, I decided to work on getting some last things upgraded over here on Star Deck 1. I upgraded our power, you can see here on diesel, and then going downstairs. I fixed up a couple of things down here with our processing. Cobblestone, lava, plates. Let me get you caught up on everything that happened. So I think this area is more or less pretty much maxed out down here as far as what I can do with the space. We've got the space pretty full up. I did go through and automate the blackstone into crushed blackstone, and that's being automatically sifted here. For some reason, modular router has stopped. Why is that? Well, it might just be the point where I have to, and this is something that I was looking at. Was it here? No, resource production? Yeah, the mechanical sieve controller. So moving up to this is a 5x5 machine. So I actually kind of knew that at some point I was probably going to replace these setups with that guy. Maybe we'll have to look at that earlier than anticipated. This shouldn't be hard. Treated wood reinforced casing. These are simple things. I don't know that this takes... it does take power, but it looks like it wouldn't be difficult to automate, but that's not what we're doing today, hopefully. Okay, so let's finish that up, because we're like 5 minutes in and I didn't finish talking. I ripped out the old cobblestone production, and we're probably overproducing, but I thought, like, why not? Why not just make a big producer of cobblestone here? So I was using stone barrels and stuff like that, but since we have access to the igneous extruder, because we have plenty of Invar and bronze and everything else, like, let's just place some of these down. And I went with 8 because why not? So that's fully backed up, and then I put down a bunch of stone barrels to get us lava. I did also automate obsidian here, so we've got a full drawer. This thing is real slow. Lava production, glass, into making the tempered glass. So I set that up a while ago. It takes 30 seconds each to make one of those, so you can kind of do the math and figure out how long that's been running. And I haven't crafted it at all. I did modify the wrought iron and the glass. I feel like there's something wrong with modular routers. What's wrong with modular routers? Because these should also be working. Let me exit out of the world and come back, because these aren't working either. My glass automation and wrought iron. Nope, you know what? I just realized I just exited out, and then I hit join back into the game, and I figured out what it is. I claimed my chunks to do chunk loading because of the base expansion. I didn't want the chunks to unload while I was on the other side of the base, or while I'm on the other side of the base. And when you do chunk claiming, it locks it out so nobody else can use the chunk, including fake players. And the modular routers are fake players. So what you need to do is go to my team settings, allow fake players true, accept, and now all this stuff is working again. Or at least it should be. Okay, there we go. That fixed it. My bad. There you go. Nice little troubleshooting that you got to see there in person. I automated alloys, so brass, bronze, Invar, soul infused, and red alloy ingots. These are a really simple automation, so I'm just using the basic inventory hopper to export charcoal into a burner. These burners don't burn out as long as they stay lit. If I wanted to, I could make them even faster by putting a fan underneath or off to the side. They would work faster. I think it superheats them I think that's how that works. And then each one of these hoppers is just exporting another item. So copper redstone, soul sand, blah, 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 blah. So those are all processed. And then I also wanted to process all of the plates that I could using the mechanical press. Because after all, I mean, these just use stress units. So, and actually, like, they're way too high. I could probably put down one of these like so, and let's turn this to just like 128. Now that's using half. Let's turn it even down further still. 64. Now that's only using 512. This was maxed, like pretty close to maxed out after I put down these other power generators. And I think if I upgraded these magnets again, it would probably pretty much max this out. And I did add in extra diesel generators here, diesel engines here to give us more. We still have some decent headroom, I think. Yeah, we're still overproducing on biodiesel, so if I needed to add in more diesel generators, I could probably just push this out further and add in some more, but they've kind of taken up as much space as they can. I didn't leave that much room to be able to expand this, but I think we're okay. I don't think that we're going to need any more stress units. I did swap out these because I added another primitive ore factory here. Processing crushed galena. So in the primitive ore factory, we get galena and silver, as well as some sulfur. So we got a little tiny bit of silver. We've got lead trickling in. So we've got plates. We've got alloys. We've got cobblestone, lava. There are 10 large stone barrels here to give us a decent amount of lava production. And upstairs, I added in some more steel production just because it was pretty slow. We weren't quite keeping up, and now I'm exporting here charcoal and wrought iron instead. And then as you saw, I've got wrought iron and glass automated, and I actually set those up with level emitters. So Tom's has a level emitter really similar to AE2. So once we're above 1024 on glass or on wrought iron, it'll emit a redstone signal that'll turn off the hopper. Right, so if we take our glass down under 1024, you'll see it export the glass into there, and then it'll make it up. And then it'll turn back on. So, pretty nice. Tom's simple storage / not so simple storage. I think that's everything for over here. So, let's take a look at our new base expansion. You got a little bit of sneak preview there. Over here, so similar to the way I had it over here, this was our power generation going into the new base expansion. This is our power generation going into, the old base expansion. This is power generation going into the new base. Right, so this is where we're going to be doing our first kind of bout of electricity. I did also put a basement over here. I did just copy and paste using the copy and paste gadget. That basement floor, I made it lower just so we could have more room, but I think it's pretty neat over here. I like these girders and power lines. We'll probably export those. These dynamos are just running off of charcoal. So they're Stirling dynamos, all making approximately 128 RF per tick. We are still at a surplus of charcoal. Over here, what we're going to start working on today, I've got our clipboard, getting the new base started, the rock filtrator, the void extractor, and the electric ore factory, because we need to get further into the industrial revolution. So getting into the EBF, the other resource production, things like that, that's where we are kind of currently headed. Getting into AE2, the EBF and aluminum, MV, stuff like that. I don't want to jump and really like push into MV too hard without having infrastructure set up. As you can see, I'm a big fan of having infrastructure set up. You know, this is our whole like early game platform here, and I'm super excited with the way that it looks from this side. And I think it's going to be really fun, the ideas that I have with setting up the base. And you can see we've got our Tom's simple, maybe not so simple item storage. And even from over here, I think this looks really awesome. If we take a look from over here, you know, once this is filled out with machines and stuff like that, I think it's going to be really awesome. And we can, with the Tom Simple storage, with our advanced wireless terminal, we can reach even from the farthest reaches of our base. I believe we can still reach everything. We still have access to everything. So one of the first things that I want to do, that I think that we're going to do, is set up, I believe it's the rock filtrator. Yes. But this is going to take distilled water. Now this one takes MV to be able to run sand, to get us blue topaz, apatite, spisartane, and monzonite. But today we'll be setting up diamond, emerald, ruby, green sapphire, quartzite. Quartzite's a big one. And Certus is a big one. I think that's going to let us push pretty much into AE2, especially if we look right here. So if we go rock filtrator, boom, graphite, basic arc furnace, takes us down to like annealed copper, gets us kind of on the road to HV, but we've got to go through MV first. But AE2 is kind of a hop, skip, and a jump away. Not too bad. So we're going to push the LV energy hatch, the rock filtrator controller, the electric ore factory, because we're going to need cobalt to get it, cobalt brass, and then the void extractor controller. So the LV energy hatch, this shouldn't be terrible. We'll have to save that. It looks like it's the same price in an assembler. Fine steel wire, magnetic iron rod. So I believe a lot of the stuff that we'll be setting up over here will be more infrastructure for running all of that. I think what I want to do first is get this rock filtrator set up. So we're going to build this multi-block. Now it can only take one LV energy hatch. So I think what I'm probably going to do is get the whole machine, or start working on things for it. So cupronickel. Now we've got the tempered glass. It'll just be things like the LV energy hatch. I think from there we're going to automate magnetic iron, fine steel wires. Maybe we won't automate completely the fine steel wire. Okay, so let's get some wire mills, some assemblers. Let's get 2 assemblers, 2 basic wire mills. I have 2 wire mills. Okay, we have 2 wire mills. Look at that. Look how easy that was. Let's set the assembler to 2. Look at this huge crafting chain. If I wanted to make 2 assemblers, we need LV circuits, which is all of this. Well, we need robot arms, which is all of this. We need conveyors, which is all of that. Machine hulls, all of that. 2 of them. Bam. Watch how easy this is going to be. The first thing I click on, we don't have. So I need to get the wire mill set up. And to actually be able to do that, we need the power converters. We got a 4 amp energy converter. So let's take this one for starters. Wire connectors. You shift you down. Wire. Hook that up. There we go. That makes a lot more sense. 3, so pop that back in there. I don't know how much fine steel wire we're going to need. LV dynamo, LV energy hatch. Yeah. So that might actually just be enough. Let it sit and run. No big deal. Let's take that. Let's get some barrels. We want barrels. Yes. Then we can say auto. That's going to go in there. All right. And the assembler. Oh, yeah. For the assembler, if we take a look at wanting to make 2 of those, we had problems with the tin cable, which tin is here, and that's going to be on 16. So that's going to sit and run. We take a look at everything else. 2 LV machine holes. 2 of those guys. The iron rods, the magnetic iron rods. So this will probably be something that we change at some point. This will be a passive automation that I set up just to have iron rods. I'll probably do a whole line of LV lathes to be able to make iron rods and stuff like that. But for now, probably just do that. Make the magnetic rods. And the copper cables. We need 16. Now we do have the 2X. I think the 2X wire. They might both be in storage over there. The 2X and the 4X. I don't remember. It's been a minute. 1X copper wire. Looks like 2X and 4X all have storages on them. They do. Steel rods do not. No, it does. There's one right there. Okay. Cool. So that's running. This needs an auto export. We'll take those. 2 basic assemblers. And then we'll grab 2 barrels to go along with them. We'll make sure we set these auto export. Sweet. 7 EU per tick. And I'm not sure. I think it's a 4-to-1 conversion. So I think each one of these makes 32 EU per tick. I think that's how it goes. Let me know in the comments if you know. 1, 2, 3, 4 more barrels. So we've got assemblers, we've got wire mills, the LV energy hatch. I say how far off would we be from making 4 of these? See, look at how nice this is. You can just craft all of these things. Now, because of the downgraded buffers and stuff like that, we will kind of run into some issues there. Magnetic iron. To be able to make this, we need to set that. So that knows how to do that. And then the steel wire. That's 16 to 1, and that's on circuit 1. You are both going to quiet down. All right, cool. And then that gets us our LV energy hatch, and that's going to open up our crafting. So I'll be right back once these are done. All right, here we are. Got the low voltage coils all done. This should be a big quest complete. Fantastic LV energy hatch. Energy hatches, you can now make massive machines to do your biddings. So what we're going to start with is the rock filtrator controller. I did make up our 8 basic distilleries. I made 8 because I believe that we're gonna need a lot of distilled water. So I think it just makes sense. And then down here with the rock filtrator, since it's gonna be it's a 3x3 or a 3x3x4, right? So we're gonna need to process this guy. So we're going to need 4 of these. We take this up. Is there anything in here? Any recipes we need to set? Nope. Pop this guy. Look at that. We pretty much have everything. Now, at some point, we'll probably run out of backlogged materials that are over here in our early game kind of automation area. And that's okay, because we can lean on this for as long as possible. But if we take a look, I mean, we still have 2,000 drawers. And look, now we can see this guy just humming away. So back over here, we've got our energy hatches. We've got our rock filtrator controller. So let's take our distilleries and imagine what this system is going to look like. We take our rock filtrator. After setting this guy up, we're also going to need kind of a plethora of macerators. And then the distilled water is going to have a decent amount of uses through some ore processing in the electric ore factory. The distilled water gets used a lot of places. I think even in, drilling fluid. Yeah, it takes distilled water. So I think we're going to put distilled water out here. I think that's going to make sense. Because we're going to use so much of it. We're going to need another LV 4 amp energy converter. We're going to need an 8 amp. LV 8 amp. And I should probably replace this one as well, because this stuff is 16 amps. We're not going to draw 16 amps from this. Maybe we should just put a 16 amp here. Yeah, let's do that. LV 16 amp. Energy converter, where is it? Not a diode. LV 16 amp. And let's go ahead and make probably, see if we have the resources to make 8 of these. I'm going to take the soul infused ingots on 16. This wire mill is still running, so let's go ahead and change this to 16. Drop that in there, grab another one of these. We're going to let that run. These I can craft up. That. We just need 20 more. Do I have more in my backpack? I don't think I do. Got an 8 there and a 4 there. That didn't help much. But take those and those. Drop those guys off. Lots of crafting. Of 8 LV machine cases. 8 LV machine hulls. We just need more soul infused wire. We're getting close. We need 8 more. Yeah, because we really shouldn't be putting anything. This is a 16 amp converter. And if we're going to be using 16 amp wires, you can see here the amperage, the 0.4, right there at the top, 16 amps. So if we put down a 4 amp converter, these can try and draw 16 amps. And I think it can only pull 4 amps from here. So maybe I'm not understanding quite correctly how we should be doing it, but that's how we're gonna do it. Let's sleep, because I haven't put lights down over there just yet. And I'm not used to navigating this area yet either. Need 3 more of these. I'm finding out kind of right away I should do a much bigger automation on these. I think that, oh man, that chewed through that whole thing. That's 1. That's 2. It's 1 more, come on. That's 3. There we go. But we did just kind of run out of cables. Oh, I said to make 8? Yes. Okay, so let's place this with that. That should do a decent amount of future proofing. And we shouldn't really have to worry too much about having issues with power. So distilleries are going to go in there. We're going to need aqueous accumulators. I think 1 will be okay. We're going to need 2 leaves. 1 might be okay. If we go... There's room to put them back here. So we will. And then if we need to set up more, we can. Do I have water in here? Don't think I do. That doesn't have any water in it. So we'll need to grab water. Get these. Water clogged. Now that has water. And we'll pull water out of the bottom. And then for distilled water, we're going to do it on circuit 1. Is there some sort of... Is there a way to get this to stay? It would be nice. Or maybe a copy-paste tool. Oh, we don't have to go through and set each one individually like this. Let's go ahead and set this guy to extract. I'm not... Jeez. Let's say, turn the boiler sound off. Dang, I didn't realize the distillery was that loud. Holy. So we're going to need a tank. That's running at a decent clip. I think we have cells. We have cells here. Actually, we have cells that have distilled water in them. So, if we set these to extract, that's awesome. I should put one more down to make it 9. Distilled water goes there. That's going to be input on the back. Fantastic. So we have a bunch of distilled water being made. We look at the recipe. Since we put 8 down every 1 second, it's going to be making a quarter of a bucket. I think that's fair enough to say. Are any of these machines, are any of these... Yeah, some of these are running. Is this one going down, or is it kind of steadied out? Looks like it's running steady. This is full 128. This is 111. These are kind of like in trickle mode. Now this side is actually not connected. These two sides are not connected yet. I've not done that. So if we take a look at getting our rock filtrator set up, we're going to need 1 cupronickel coil, 16 casings, the energy hatch, output bus, input hatch. Those can go any which way. And I think I'm going to place that down. I don't want to have it too far away from this. And I think we'll do some passive setups over here. Let's try right here. 16 solid machine case. Let me gather the blocks for this. Let's take a look at our cupronickel. Cupronickel coil. So that's going to be an assembler. We're going to need liquid tin, bronze foil, cupronickel wire. All right, that's not going to be bad. The cupronickel we need to get from an alloy smelter. And that can just be copper and nickel. We'll set that. So we're going to need 2, we'll take 2 alloy smelters. I figure if we're going to make 1 machine, we might as well make 2. That way, hopefully, we don't get anything backed up. Not that. I want the configuration. Auto export. And then cupronickel is just 1-to-1 copper and nickel. So let's grab 2 stacks of copper. 2 stacks of nickel. I don't like how close zinc, tin, and nickel look in this. I haven't, like, grown accustomed to that. Furnace, GT, CEU. Yeah, we'll turn that off. So if we take a look at our coil, we want to save that. And then the liquid tin. Liquid tin alloy would come from an extractor. Let's get 2 of those. 2 extractors. And the extractor, that's going to make fluid. So if we take a look at the cupronickel, the liquid tin alloy would be melting down tin alloy ingot and an alloy smelter, iron and tin. So 2 iron, 2 tin. Let's take those out. Pop those in there. We'll pop those in there. Cupro nickel. We've got that. Plenty of copper nickel. Tin alloy. We'll just pop in there. That's going to get us our liquid tin. Yeah. And that can go in a barrel. And we'll make 4 copper nickel. If we're making this, it's bronze, copper nickel wire, which can be crafted down. So let's just throw a stack in there. Put those away. Copper nickel, I think, can go away. The bronze foil in a bender. So let's get 2 benders. Batch crafting is nice, but like really taking the time to set up stuff like I did over there is great. You know, because while you're building setups and while you're moving stuff around, it takes a little bit of time, but I think it really pays off. It pays off big time. How much space do we want here? Should we just go right across? I think we could probably put another line of machines. Like right here. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. We're going to want our soul infused. And we're going to want, yep, 16 amps. So if we do that, and then put our energy converter there. Face it down. And then we just need to pull power from an area that makes sense and that is kind of safe. Is there room for an overhead wire here? I think there's room for an overhead wire here. I don't think OSHA would approve of that. Certain OSHA would not be in approval of that, but we can go bender. We'll get ourselves some more barrels. And we also have planks and slabs automated too. So we are just chilling on automations. And we were making foils, bronze foils on a bender. That's on 10. That's on 10. And we can just grab bronze, pop them in there, say, hey, you. Auto export. There's our bronze foils. And I think we said we're going to make 4 copper nickels. So we're going to need 1632 bronze foils. So just a couple more recipes of this guy. I think we got our wires. And bam. So in our assembler, there's nothing there. We can pop that there. It's 2x. 32. So if we do this and then that, look at that. Here we go, copper nickel blocks. I'm going to gather the rest of everything else once this one crafts. Boom, copper nickel block. Is that a quest? That's not a quest, but that's a quest. I'm going to gather everything else for the rock filtrator, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've got everything here. And I think the input bus is going to go on top. I think it has to go on top here. Yeah, it has to go on top. Anything else I can kind of put wherever. The Cooper nickel block goes there. What is this? The steel firebox has to go in these corners. Tempered glass has to go like so. Solid machine casings. Input bus. This is where gravel is going to go. That's wrong. This and this need to be these. Can we turn this? No. And then that would be a completed structure, right? But it doesn't have any place to accept energy, distilled water, or output the items. So outputting the items to over here, because we're going to need 6, 7 macerators. The crushed diamond ore. Well, that should probably go through a cutter. And maybe all of these should go through a cutter. Nope, not those. Maybe all of these should go through a cutter. Then I could ruby cutter into ruby flawless ruby dust. I don't know the route to take. Some diamond ore for graphite dust. Okay, so if I macerate it, there's a chance to get graphite? Or does that have to be... Does the basic macerator have... I think I have one set up here. It does have extra outputs, so I think that works. So I think everything should run through a macerator. So then the crushed diamond ore can run through a macerator, and there's a chance to get graphite that way. Ruby, sapphire. How should we process the quartzite and the certus? If we go the raw certus route, I think all of it's gonna, yeah, all of it's gonna run through a macerator. Yes. Because we don't really care too much about the stone dust. Okay. No, yes. So everything here, we're gonna need 7 macerators set up. All right. That took way too long to figure out. Okay, so truth be told, I spent a little bit of time. There was some more recording afterwards, and I ended up just cutting it all out because basically everything other than these distilleries was not good enough. So I had to spend a bunch of time kind of messing around, and I did get it all set up, so I'm going to show you that now. So we've got our distilleries. I did end up using all 4 rock filtrators. These are all set up and running. And then I also have the products coming out. So what I did for storage, all the rock filtrators are set up. And I just have some universal pipes here that are pulling out the resources that are created there. I put some stairs over here to be able to come up here. Those are being stored in these drawers that are on top. I don't plan on storing these. They're not useful for anything but processing. So what I did was those drawers are connected to this drawer controller. This drawer controller then pulls out and distributes across these 4 macerators. The 4 macerators then get pulled out and sent into these ore washers. The reason they're hooked up with the universal pipe instead of just iron pipes is because they need items and fluid. So they also need the distilled water. So if we come over here, we can see all these are working, and we can see right now there's some green sapphire ore that got processed. That's going to get pulled out. And there are 2 paths that it can take, the processed items here. They're actually going to get pulled out and sent into either these sifters, which do have filters set up on them, blacklisted for stone, aluminum, chromium, beryllium, graphite, nether quartz, and certus quartz. Those are secondary byproducts for the things that come out of here. So let's see, this guy, as the quartzite geode gets crushed in the macerator, creates, I think this is, I haven't gotten any of this, so I think this might be an HV recipe only. Or maybe it is coming out and I just haven't seen it yet. But the macerator, it's coming through, and it's only given me the crushed quartzite. Wow, I don't know why I can't say that. But some of the other crushed ones do, it comes out and gets output into here, and then these are secondary outputs from the ore washer. So that gets input into the drawer, which is connected here. I don't have that. So taking a look at the linking drawer. All right, so these are getting pulled out, or the linking tool. These are getting pulled out, put into the controller, which is connected to this small wall here. So it can get put into there, and then from this side, after the sifter, you can see there's some diamonds in there, and there's a chance for the exquisite, the flawless, the regular, and the purified pile of diamond dust to be exported out into here as well. So the rock filtrators, 4 rock filtrators, 4 basic macerators into 4 basic ore washers into 5 sifters. I had 4, but we were backing up. It seems like 5 is a nice little happy medium where they're still able to keep up. The rock filtrators are 100% uptime. The macerators, you can see they just turned on. Like right now, the ore washers are off, but it's been running for a little while. The stone dust, we've got a little bit of aluminum here. I have gotten the quests. So through here, like we got aluminum, Starbucks, our Star T coins. We did get graphite. We did get certus. We held that in our hand, 82's backbone material. So we're getting closer and closer. We do need presses. We do need silicon. Silicon will come from the EBF. Basic extractor. We got that. We saw that. We created that. But yeah, so these are set up. Like I said, I spent a bunch of time. This was the first one I placed down, and then I had the other 2 over here in this spot and this spot. And then I was trying to get these placed down, and it just wasn't enough room, and I didn't like it. And I spent a lot of time messing around with it, trying to make it look nice. And I actually went through like 3 different versions of these machine configurations before I finally ended up on this one that I'm actually happy with now. So I thought, as I was editing the last video, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to scrap the end of it, and I'm going to put this in here and then explain what it is. On the back side, it's pretty simple over here. We've got power coming in. I did have to upgrade our power using the overcharge diamond wire. So if we go into create new age, we were using the copper wire, which only transfers 1,000 zaps per tick, I think is what the unit, I don't know, energy per tick. And these are 8192. So these are a lot better as far as moving energy. We were not moving enough energy throughout the base. So I've got the diamond cable hooked up, and that runs all the way back over to those engines that we had originally set up. We've got distilled water coming out into another tank here. I could just replace these fluid pipes with the universal pipe, but there's another storage cell here for distilled water, and then the power just comes out. And I do have this drawer connected, this drawer controller connected, so like we can see our stone dust, and we can see emerald stuff. Emerald. We can see we've got the emeralds we already had, but the purified, the flawless, and the exquisite. I don't know what the uses are of the purified. We can centrifuge it for more aluminum. That probably wouldn't be a bad way to go. We could probably do that with all these purified ones, honestly. We checked sapphire. Yeah. So I'll probably set that up. What's the processing time on this? 5 seconds. So I could probably just do like one centrifuge. And that would probably be enough. Barite. I don't know how to tell chance at tier. Oh, okay. At LUV. So if we upgrade the tier, it doesn't look like it's affecting it at all. The Certus and a centrifuge, more barite. The sapphire, more green sapphire. Red garnet. So there are some uses of these, but it is pretty fast to be able to go through, do it. So if I get to the point where I feel like I need that, I can pretty easily just set up. I could probably actually put a centrifuge right here and tell it to whitelist these. Maybe I'll do that in the future, but that's where we're at with this. The next project would be, I believe, what I'm going to do, because how do we get the cobalt dust? I think it's supposed to come from the electric ore factory, crushed cobaltite, pendulite, ornite, chalcopyrite. So I guess the question would be, how do I get these? How do I get cobaltite? How do I get cobaltite? I think that's the void ore extractor. Yeah, so this would be the next one we set up. But the problem is, for this, we need drilling fluid. So if we do the void extractor, we're going to move this here. We're going to need... it gets us 5 buckets by using distilled water. It's a little bit slower for water. So we're going to need drilling fluid, which we'll make just with regular water. That'll be fine. The lubricant we're going to use... We could probably use... I think we'll use seed oil. Yeah, we'll use seed oil, and then seed oil we'll get from probably melons or pumpkins. And we can get either of those from farming. If we use the composter, we get 38. It's the fertilizer. I don't think we're at a point right now where we want to do fertilizer. Sand, dirt, water. Maybe. We could set this up, but I think this would be totally fine. Because this is 1.6 seconds. Oh, we'll definitely use pumpkins. Beetroot seeds would be great. Wheat would be pretty good. I think we'll just use pumpkins because it's pretty easy crafting the pumpkin into pumpkin seeds. So that'll be our next process that we work through there, is the drilling fluid. That's what we want. Get that out of there. So we'll need the drilling fluid, and that will get us coal. gold, sodalite, pendletite, realgar, silver. It'll also get us the rare ore residue and the raw ore slurry. This will have to be electrolyzed, but at MV. The raw ore slurry is also centrifuged at MV. So we'll have to store a bunch of this. Okay. And then this stuff we'll also have to process. It'll probably go through a macerator and a sifter as well. So I think what we'll end up doing is making 4 of these. Very similar to the way we made these. That means we're going to have to set up seed oil over here. I think that's going to work pretty good, actually. And the electric ore factory, faster and more advanced version of the primitive ore factory, capable of handling higher tier ores. So I think what I will do is probably move over here and set down 4 of these. And let's just kind of like place them down in the world. That way we kind of know what we're looking at next time around. I need more of these. Keep running out of files. And then we're going to work more on our passive automations as well. I want to get those iron rods and magnetic rods set up because they're just going to be way more useful. Going to be way better to have them automatically set up instead of having to craft them like I have been. Yeah, because look, see, we ran out of our file. We'll do that. Couple more of these bad boys. There we go. 12 motors. This should finish it off. 8 gears. Bronze pipe. 4. 8 rubber rings. Oops. Four pumps. High pressure steam miner? What is that? Oh, don't know what that is. Okay. Tin alloy fluid pipe. Low pressure steam miner. Okay, okay. Tin alloy plate. Don't have that either. Tin alloy plate would be tin alloy in a bender. All right. Bunch of things here that we didn't already have. And tin alloy plate on a bender. LV. Oh, on 1. Interesting. Because weren't the plates on like 10? I thought plates were on 10. Interesting. So 48 of those. I'll be right back. And there we go. So that gets us these that we will place down. I think 2 spaces. 2 spaces is enough gap. And these do go on the bottom. Yep, those go on the bottom. All right, so that is our next task. Finish building these guys out and get drilling fluid set up. We shouldn't have any issues setting up drilling fluid right here. And I need to get some lights placed down. Yeah, we definitely need to get some lights placed down. So I think we're going to call that good. I gather ore from mining and collecting the dust around you. Make sure to save the fluids for later, as you can get more and more rarer materials. This machine can only take 1 energy hatch. Also, make sure you have enough space. 2 LV output buses and 2 LV output hatches will do the trick. Like I said, I think these are also designed so that you can't wall share them. because it needs to have an energy hatch. So I feel like they're like built in a way, or they're designed in a way that you can't set them up because of the limited amount of casings and stuff. So that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you aren't subscribed, please do so. Drop a like on the video. Would be much appreciated. Let me know in the comments if you feel like there was something I could be doing better. Like I said, I know that there are sometimes more efficient setups that I could be doing. Like, you know, not batch crafting, stuff like that, but I do enjoy setting up these systems like this that make the game just more fun, in my opinion. I don't like to just place down machines kind of like these and then have to keep going back to barrels. What I'd rather do is get it more set up like... Can I teleport over to that side? Let's see if I can do it. Ah, yeah, over here. Like this area. You know, I like to have stuff like this set up. And then you find llamas on top of your setups. Apparently this is circuit llama. But let me know in the comments what you think about the series so far. Thanks for stopping in.